So you want to build a drift car. Well, here are the first 7 drift mods that you should do as a beginner. Starting this list off is something I believe may be one of the most important purchases for any aspiring drifter, a sim. Now you may be saying, hey, I came to this video because I want to mod my car, not play video games. Well, don't think of a sim as playing a video game. Think of it as practice, as free seat time. Because that is exactly what it is. The #1 way to improve your drifting skills is to get seat time. And having a sim allows you to do that without wasting money on entry fees, gas, tires, and fixing your car when you break it. And you can get a used sim online for as low as $200. And that is why it's at the top of my list. Now it's time for some real mods. Coming in at #2 on this list is a welded diff. Having your differential welded allows your rear tires to lock up and spin together, which makes it drastically easier to drift your car. Now doing this to your car may make it slightly more annoying to drive as a daily, but will totally be worth it on the track. The alternative to welding your diff would be to buy a limited slip differential, or an LSD, which allows your wheels to lock up similarly to a welded diff, but will still allow your daily driving to be just as enjoyable.
Nice.
The only problem with an LSD is the high price tag, which is why I recommend a welded diff for any beginner, which can be done for under $100 at pretty much any fabrication shop. Next up is probably the most underrated mod that most beginners don't even think about: tires. Yes, you can drift on pretty much any set of tires, but having a dedicated set of drift tires makes a huge difference when it comes to grip and longevity. Kendas, Valinos, Acceleras, Ironmans. These are all very good examples of good drift tires, but there are also many other brands that are just as good for a wide range of prices. So don't be like me and cheap out on your tires, because you might just end up doing what I did. Bucket, seat, and harness. While a lot of people these days install these just for the looks, don't forget that they have a purpose. A bucket seat and a harness helps to keep you secured and planted in your seat so that while you're flicking your car around the track, you stay still. Because after all, you're not going to be able to focus on driving if you're falling out of your seat. Bucket seat prices range anywhere from $100 to over $10,000, so there are plenty to choose from. And if you're on a budget, you can always do what I and many other people do. Keep an eye out on your local Facebook marketplace because people are always selling their old seats for cheap. Harnesses, on the other hand, aren't near as expensive. You can pick up a decent harness for around $200 and pair it with a harness bar for roughly the same price. 5th on this list is probably something you've been waiting for: coilovers. Upgrading your suspension to coilovers will probably make a bigger difference in terms of feeling than anything else on this list. Coilovers are not only going to be replacing your stock springs and shocks, they're going to be replacing them with better parts that were designed to handle more abuse. Not to mention, if you invest in a good set of coilovers, you'll be gaining adjustability in things like compression, rebound, dampening, and even ride height. Now you can pick up a set of coilovers for as low as $300, but I recommend staying away from those and investing in a good set such as BC, Fortune Auto, or Silver, which all start roughly around $1,200 to $1,500. Up next is a good old angle kit. Adding an angle kit to your car increases the steering angle of your front wheels, which can make it drastically easier to maintain a drift. Like everything else on this list, the price ranges widely, but usually these kits start as low as a few $100s. It is important to note, however, that learning to drift with an angle kit will hurt your technique because new drivers tend to rely on that extra angle to stay sideways and correct their mistakes. So it is always better to learn the basics of drifting before adding more angle. However, once you have mastered those basics and added more angle to your car, you are going to have a lot more fun. Rounding off this list at #7 is a hydro, or hydraulic e-brake. Many people will swear that this is the #1 thing you need when you start drifting, and that is just not the case. Similarly to an angle kit, it will actually negatively affect your technique if you learn to drift with a hydro. So once again, you should learn the basics before adding this mod. This is because adding a hydro will allow you to correct those small mistakes that you otherwise would have to learn how to prevent. So no matter how tempting it may be, you should avoid getting a hydro for as long as you can. And trust me, you'll be glad you did in the end. Peace.